you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Longbox. I'm here with James Nugent. Did I say your name right?
It's okay.
How do you say it?
Just I say it Nguyen. So
Nguyen.
just the G kind of throws everything off. And
Right. When I was a kid, I went to Catholic school, and there was Father however
Nguyen.
you say your name, but we call
Father
him
Nguyen. Nguyen is the most common pronunciation,
and he never corrected us.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
whenever
weird.
I see your name. Yeah, he was funny. He was like one of the priests with the sense of humor.
Yeah.
So this is your second time, right? You've been
second time.
So how you doing? How's everything going?
Good. The I was on for the campaign for Alpha Red number 6, and you were kind enough to have me on for that. So now I have issue number 7. Today's the last day for it, and we're getting closer.
Okay, I just clicked on your link,
Mm-hmm.
and it's bringing me to pinstriping supplies.
Oh no!
So I don't know if there's a problem with the link. I don't want to bring up what I just clicked on. It might be not safe for work.
Yeah. So it should be Shop Alpha Red. I can send you another one.
Yeah.
There's let me see my Fund My Comic. Just straight to Fund My Comic here.
Yeah. I don't want to click on that because it looked like not safe for work. And
okay.
I try to be family friendly, but I don't always succeed. Sometimes.
Sure.
But while you're doing that, I'll just let everybody know I still have a campaign, Heroic Tales 2. We just hit 150 backers today, which is pretty cool. Although it's exactly half. I had exactly 300 backers for issue number 1. So we got I forget 26 more days. I know the middle of the campaign is the doldrums, so we'll close it out. Hopefully we'll get everybody.
Yeah.
AlphaRed.com is this it or Shop Alpha Red?
Shop Alpha Red I forward to my Fund My Comic campaign.
Okay, I'll bring that. Okay, that's not going to be anything that
yeah.
You never know. It might be something I don't want to show. You never know.
Yeah.
I don't really know you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I know you because I watched some of your stuff. So.
I know. I'm just being silly. Well, I'm just gonna say hello to the chat, and then we'll get that. I forgive me, everybody. It's just the heat is just sucking out my will to live at work. What do you do for a living? You're not a full-time comic booker.
No, insurance salesman.
Okay, yeah. So
traveling insurance salesman. So
you're not outside, man. Although I am the opposite. I'm trapped in a sealed room. I'm working in a hospital it's going to be a sterile room.
Yeah.
So the windows are sealed. We're putting in these ceiling tiles that have to be sealed, and then these electrical light fixtures that need to be water because they spray the whole room with the high pressure hose. Yeah. Every day. So just imagine it is just trapped in there's 30 guys. I don't know if you know what sweating pipes is. But we got the plumbers and the steam fitters. They take blow torches.
Oh yeah.
And they put the to get them to expand properly and seal properly. So just imagine the heat in this room.
Yeah.
It's unbearable. So forgive me. I'm just low energy today.
No.
We got Ben Sabar. How you doing, Ben? And we got Marcus Kelligrew putting out your real link.
Nice.
And everybody's saying hello. So last time you were on it was about a year ago. Last time I saw you, right?
Yeah. It was in October. I ran it from middle of September to middle of October. I wanted Red number 6 to be delivered before Christmas, and that didn't happen because there were some family health things on the colorist I forget if it was the colorist or the inker. I think it was the colorist who had death in the family that kind of delayed it a week or two, and so we were first week of January until I got issue number 6 out, and so now I'm excited about issue number 7. It's all the way done. Got the final colors today, and I've been working with the letterer. So it's all, he just has to put the letters on top of the colors, and then it'll be all done.
Sweating is right. Yeah. It's called sweating the pipes. It burns out all the moisture. It dries the pipes so that the seals, not animal seals, but the physical seals to tighten the pipes actually work. So they, doing that.
Yeah.
So that there's fumes, there's heat, there's humidity trapped in it, to the point where when I went outside for lunch, it was actually really pleasant out. I thought it was going to be horrible and muggy,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, it's nice out.
Yeah. So nice. Yep.
This trapped sealed room is just torture. And these normally you put in a light fixture, you drop it in, you make the splice, you make the connection, you screw down these little clamps, you walk away. But these are sealed. There's 27 screws. Oh my God. And they each have to be torqued to a certain pressure because you can't let water go in. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, making overtime, so I'm making some money doing it. Where are we going? You take us on a trip around your room?
No, I got this, here we go. I have this fancy dancy camera that my son gave me for Christmas. And it like moves around with you. And then so you have to lock it. And then once you lock it, you have to do fancy stuff to.
Okay. So I'm going to bring up your campaign. Let's where is this button? Yeah, I'm waking up now. Finally, second cup of coffee is starting to kick in. So
how late can you drink coffee?
I'm sorry?
How late can you drink coffee?
I could drink coffee and then go right to bed.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I drink so much coffee, I think I'm immune to it. But then once in a while, it'll catch up to me and I'm up all night.
That's my problem.
And then when it gets when I feel like if I wake up on Saturday and I sit down, I'm done. So I got to wake up, make coffee and work, like clean or do the lawn, stuff like that while drinking coffee.
Yeah.
So if I feel really bad, I got Cafe Bustelo. Have you ever drank that?
No.
I learned about Cafe Bustelo. It's like an espresso. I think it's a Cuban coffee.
Is it
when I was working on the George Washington Bridge, I was working in maybe it's Dominican, but I was working in the Dominican area, and we would stop at the Steli, and that's the coffee that they make. And they would drink little shots, but I would get a large coffee, thinking it's regular coffee. And I'm like, come on, guys, let's do it. What do we do? Let's. You want me to climb up here? I'll climb up there. So I was like, I got it. And it's funny because the 2 days later, I went back. I was feeling down, and I was like, oh man, I got to go to that deli. I got to go get some of that coffee. So I come walking in. The only white guy, everybody's they're playing cards. It's like a typical, movie of a deli. And I just walk in. I'm like, hey, buddy, I need some of that crack that you're selling. And everybody just stops and looks at me. And I go, I mean the coffee.
Nice.
Yeah, they were like, okay, yeah. It's a good thing I had my hard hat, my vest. But man, so that's what
instant coffee? Is it like instant?
No. Now you get me into nerd coffeeness. I only buy a metal Farberware percolator.
Okay.
And that is the only way to make coffee. You know, no instant, no, Keurig cups or anything like that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Because the Keurig one, like they taste. If it's a plastic machine, the coffee tastes off.
Yeah. So no,
I have 3 metal Farberware percolators in 3 different sizes. I got a small 3-cup for me. Then I got a larger one, like when my friends come over, we play board games, and then I got like a party size, and
party size.
It is.
No, I have a French press. I agree. No K cups, none of that instant stuff.
Does it percolate?
No, this you pour it in and you push it down, and it's a metal thing, and you just pour it in, and the screen, it's got a long arm up top, and then you just kind of push it down. You wait until it brews about 5 minutes, and then you push it down, and then you can pour it out, and then it's good to go.
I'll never forget. My wife took me to she surprised me with a trip to Iceland on my 50th birthday.
Oh yeah,
and we went there, and I was like, I'm dying for a cup of coffee. You're in another country, you don't know. Yeah. So right across the street was a coffee shop from our hotel. So I walk in and I see a sign, coffee Americano. And then like espresso. So I'm like, American coffee? Okay, I'll get American coffee.
Yeah.
It was the worst, most disgusting thing I've ever had. I was like drinking it like angrily, like this sucks. Because I'm too cheap. I paid for
Sure.
You never met an electrician. We're all cheapskates. So I'm drinking it like pissed off. And then I find out like 2 days later that means instant coffee. Like regular coffee. So the coffee is the same. The coffee is actually delicious, nice. But we were there for 10 days. And it took me 3 days to realize, just order coffee. Coffee Americano is instant coffee. Of course, it's garbage.
Yeah. French press is the way to go for me.
French press?
South Mask. Yep.
Yeah, I don't like the Keurig cups. And it's funny because, that's one of the things, I'm a construction worker. I go to work, take, whatever. You got to, it takes about a week to figure out the best patterns. Do I take the subway? Do I drive? Do I walk this way? Do I walk to this subway stop? Do you get on the front of the subway? There's like a little orientation period. So now I got everything. I'm on like a routine, and I go into the same deli every morning, Mike's Deli, and I get a cup of coffee, and they say the same thing every morning. You want hot coffee? I'm like, I don't care how hot it is. It's 100 degrees. Coffee is hot. I don't drink iced coffee.
Yeah.
So,
not unless you get that dessert coffee where it's mostly cream and sugar.
Yeah, it's candy. Girls with coffee like this big with ice cream on it, the curly straw, and
That's what my wife is. She's on. She thinks she drinks coffee. She's got an espresso machine. She's got it you're killing dinosaurs or something. It's like it's like screaming, and it's like releasing the demons.
Yeah,
and, I'm like, that's not coffee. Please don't make one of those.
It's my buddy comes over and he's just like, John, I'm coming over. Put up the coffee pot, because he has a Keurig. And it's a plastic Keurig. It's quick, it's convenient. You don't have to clean it, but
it'll give you cancer.
It's like garbage. It tastes like garbage. Marcus has got a coffee. My wife and I go to Tarrytown. We used to go to Tarrytown every October. Tarrytown is it used to be called Sleepy Hollow. So it's a big hollow. It's in New York. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman. Mm-hmm. So we used to go there all the time. Just it's just. My wife and I like Halloween, and we like that fall, the colors. But I wish we knew that Marcus's sister had a coffee shop. So next time we go, Marcus, I'll go and I'll take a picture with your sister. Tonight is coffee talk, by the way, on Longbox.
Coffee talk.
I want my coffee with my seven types of sugars. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I use unprocessed sugar.
I drink it black. I like it just.
You see, you're tougher than me. You're tougher than me. Yeah. I it's too bitter.
Yeah.
So I put
if you get the right kind. So I drink Tim Hortons.
Yep, me too. Tim Hortons. Yeah. Tim Hortons,
so smooth.
Tim Hortons like coffee and raw sugar.
Yeah. I'll drink it. I'll drink that room temperature. It's never too cold for me to just drink it all.
Yeah. Like once it gets colder than room temperature, I can't drink it.
Yeah.
Coffee has to be on the average hotter than the room.
Yeah.
I spent 3 years one night in Tarrytown. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a fun story. She has a shop in Eastchester too. Okay. Throw the link in. Maybe throw the link in. Marcus, get your sister a shout out.
Yeah.
Heroic Tales. Yeah, I know that comic, Heroic Tales. So let's focus, guys. You can see the coffee finally activated. And, Americano is usually a shot of espresso in a hot cup of water. Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was an instant coffee. Whatever it was garbage. And I was furious. Coffee that takes the hair off your chest. Eric Grant says hello. Second, let's go right to fork. Yeah. I make like I said, I make a three, and I will drink a pot, and then I will go and make another pot. And then halfway in the second pot, I'll go to bed. And I'll just go right to sleep. To the point where, I am so immune to caffeine. But if I don't drink coffee, I'm real cranky and miserable. I'll snap at you.
Oof.
If you ever seen me being snappy with anybody in interviews, because I didn't have coffee. To the point, my wife I'm going to the store. Do you have coffee? Yes. You better bring some. Okay. So anyway, Alpha Red. How you doing with Alpha Red?
Doing good, man. I'm so proud that we're up to issue number 7.
Yeah,
and I have
that's an achievement in indie comics.
It is. It feels like it. It feels like once I got past issue number 5, which was the completion of the origin story, I was like, what do I do with it now? I just had really the origin story and like the rest of the adventures just lived in my head, and then I was like, I'm gonna do it. Let's just keep going until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I like these homage covers, especially this whole. Now, I got to ask you. So, issue 1 to 5 was the origin. Like, was it the origin of one character, or was it the origin of like the world, or the origin of like a team?
Yeah. So, just the origin of the red guy there. So, the main hero is Alpha Red.
Okay.
And so I'm building the world now, and so these are the villains. Like you see the Searcher there, and then she unlocks.
This female in the green outlines is the Searcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like a mix of Catwoman and Laura Croft.
Okay, that's a good mix.
Yeah. and then she accidentally unleashes an ancient spirit, and that's the big blue angel guy there.
Oh, Zadkiel.
Zadkiel, yeah.
Zadkiel. Is that a real angel's name? Like,
So I looked it up. I was looking up for names of the Watchers, and they're like the Watchers have certain names. It's a faith-based comic, so I just wanted to add as much real historical stuff as I could. I didn't that's always like the initial like, yeah, I want it authentic, and then I was like, I don't have time for all this research, and I don't know if it's going to be interesting, but I have the name, and he's I don't tell you too much about him yet, other than he lived a long time ago on Earth, and you see why he is who he is, why he murders, and all that kind of good stuff.
okay.
But yeah, it's fun.
Because I had it like an angel. My comic is based on my role playing game, which I've been playing with my buddies for like 40 years. So one of the stories is the character he just wakes up with powers and he has no memories of anything like that.
Yeah.
So he didn't even know what powers he had. I was holding his character sheets, and as he figured things out, I would give him index cards until he could build his own character sheet. You know what I mean? And
that's cool.
He loved it because he loved role play. But it turns out that he was an angel, but he gave himself a superhero name. But I researched which angel he was and like gave him certain clues. So it was remarkably close to Zadkiel. So I was just like, oh, I wonder. And he was a Grigori, a watcher. So very, very similar. I forgot your comic is faith-based.
Yeah. It's supposed to be family friendly, superheroes. It just doesn't curse, doesn't, no nudity or no whatever. I just wanted to make sure that kids have a way in,
I forget. Are you the artist also?
Yep. I draw it. With this one, I write it. I did have a co-plotter, so I had a plot. I threw it at him. I said, hey, can you do me a favor and break it up into 24 pages? And so that's what he did for me, the writer, the co-plotter. And then I went back in and I scripted it. So it's really fun.
Now, when you draw your own stuff, like I don't draw my own stuff. So I write scripts. I give them to, I got a couple of artists working with me.
Sure.
I can't help but write like a full script because you don't want the poor guy to have to redraw something. You know what I mean? So you try to give him as much detail as possible. So that way, if you keep like, well, I explained it like this, CYA,
It's got to be so frustrating for the writer because,
it's so far it's not. Like if Renzo, I've never had a problem. And then he does it on a digital, so he can remove layers. So it's never a problem. But everybody else, but one guy asked me to do Marvel style.
Yeah, that's how we do it. That's how my writer.
Well, yeah, we had drawn it yourself.
Yeah,
but it was so difficult. I ended up just writing it a full script and said change it as much as you want because, like Marvel style to me is like not even writing anything. It's just like here's a story, go do what you want. So I was just wondering, you do a full script for yourself?
No, I don't. So it has evolved, right? Because I started it a while ago, and as I was initially doing it, it was just for fun, and it was just going to be just all action, and then it didn't make sense. And to me, initially, it didn't have to make sense. It was like it was supposed to be like a resume that I could turn into Marvel or DC or another publisher and get work. And then the longer I did it, I was like, I really like the story, and I don't like what the comic book industry is doing, so I don't want to break in. I just have my story, so I had to rejigger everything so that the story made sense, and that's why So I start off with kind of the Marvel way, where I have a plot, and then I have to go in, and then I do write a script, but it's a suggestion, So I don't. And it has evolved into what it is now, where I have brought on a writer. And I go, this is kind of the idea, but I need more direction. I need more guidelines, and I need more limits, or else I'll do 100 pages where I should have been a little bit more judicious about.
Right. I am aware of how much each page costs. So I'm like, do I need to make this a 40-page story? Can I make it a 30-page story? And I kind of spoiled a little bit. Somebody not me, asked me to write a story.
Yeah.
That's going to go into comic book stores, and it said 12 pages.
Oh.
And I'm freaking out, because I'm my own boss. I write what I want, and I stop when the story's done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I have a feeling this is going to be the roughest thing I've ever done, because it's got to be exactly 12 pages. Do you have a hard limit? Like, this book is going to be X amount of pages and that's it?
Yeah, 24 pages, I guess, is it's got to stop on the 4s, because it's how saddle stitched comics are. The floppies are saddle stitched, so it has to end on a 4. One sheet of paper has 4 sides or whatever. 4, once it's folded, has 4 pages. So I'm conscientious of that. So that's about the limit. I think maybe if I had other stories, like you have 2 stories in each comic, right?
Right.
So I was thinking about the other character that has become pretty popular. People like him in it, and I have an origin story. It was an old character that I kind of just left behind because I never really had a story. I just had a cool looking character, and then I was just kind of making up the story as I went along. But I have an issue and a half of his origin that I can retool, and I have brought the character into this world so that I can draw him. And
what's the name of that character?
Wingman.
Wingman. Okay.
Yeah.
Does he help Alpha Red pick up chicks? Like, is he going to help Alpha Red pick up that searcher?
Actually, he steals the chick. He's like the Han Solo. He's like an ace. Like he's a fly boy. He's like a hotshot kind of guy. But
that would be funny.
Yeah.
I was chatting up Searcher, and then you just came in and So you said that you did a 5-issue origin.
Yeah. Yep.
I not to keep taking your subject away, making it mine, but like when I did my issue number 1, I was like, this origin is complicated and it's too involved in the world, and I think I'm just going to scare people away. So I just didn't do it. I just started with a superhero adventure story.
Yeah.
And then the second appearance of the comic is going to have just another superhero adventure story.
Yeah.
There's going to be little clues seeded along for anybody who follows to see that there's something, it's leading to somewhere. But the third appearance of the Patriarch is going to be a solo story of just his origin, because I feel people are invested. Now, you started out with the origin. What is your thinking on that?
Yeah. So I didn't think, like I said, I really wasn't thinking too much about it. Like, and it was when I started it, like the decompressed story was kind of what everybody was doing. And I didn't think about how long it would take me to go from one issue to the next. So it was so decompressed, and it was that it took me 10 years to do it.
Oh, wow.
And I thought I was going to stop doing it. You do it for a year, and then you do it. It's so hard to, how hard it is to campaign and try to get eyeballs on your stuff.
Yeah.
And then, when you're done, you're like, I got to do it again. Like, I got another issue because I left it off on a cliffhanger. And then once I'm done, I have another 2 or 3 months of like trying to get people to help me make it come to life. And so it was not planned. It could have been planned better.
So did I understand it took you 10 years to get issue 1 to 7?
No, 10 years from issue 1 to 5. And then within the last year, I've been able to do 2, just because different season of life. My kids are older. I'm not.
And you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you do everything? Do you color and letter and everything?
No. So the Kickstarter is for the inking, the colors, and the letters.
Okay.
And the plotter. I gave the co-plotter some money.
Okay, so let's look at your campaign then. We got $5 for this is a digital copy.
Yep.
Good idea. You got to have a digital. I like that cover.
Yeah, that's
and you drew that?
I did. Yep. So these the exclusive cover is just a series of, let me see if I have it here, a series of standalone images that I kind of put together. So she's by herself there.
I wish I could draw.
And then he's by himself, and then it's supposed to be nearby, but I got so many drawings.
I got to clean up over here. Last night I did a comic book stream, and I was just I got stacks of comics up.
So like,
let's check that out. Let's get big.
Yeah.
That's great.
She's kind of by herself. He's by himself.
You know, art style reminds me of?
Who's that?
Bill Willingham.
Oh, okay.
I don't, you know, Bill Willingham's probably more famous as a writer these days, but especially the way you drew what's her name, Searcher. I like his rounded lines. I'm sure somebody else will see other people. Who do you? Oh, that's Wingman. That is really
that's Wingman.
Cool.
Yep.
That's not what I expected him to look like. That is really cool. Yeah. Who do you think your art reminds you of?
So Jim Lee was always the biggest.
Yeah, I figured.
Influence, and then Joe Madureira is always like, if I get stuck, if I think that my stuff isn't dynamic enough, I have a stack of Joe Madureira comics that I just thumb through, and I go, okay, that's what makes a good comic or a visually interesting comic. So,
yep, people are liking your art. So you got a digital, which is always smart.
Yeah. So with issue number 6, I didn't do the digital because, you know, I was looking at like the Rippaverse. I was looking at the Comicsgate guys. They don't do digital comics. And I was like, well, maybe that just pushes everybody to get the physical. And I was like, you know what? I'm not like, I want everybody to be able to get
because guys in Europe, guys in Canada, they're not going to buy the book then.
Yeah. So expensive.
It's so expensive, and shipping just went up. So, you know, I didn't want to do digital either, but now just today I had a digital sale and I'm like, yes, it's I just send out a file and fulfillment is done. You know, I hate to sound greedy, but it's just like, it's almost like free money, you know?
Yeah.
And somebody's reading, and maybe when I have 4 or 5 issues, they'll buy the physical issues, you know, and pay shipping once.
Yeah.
That's the theory. That's what I hope.
Yeah, once I hit that 5th issue, it was like really easy to sell because the whole origin story was done, the whole story arc was done, and now, you know, I can send them out as a set. I had trade paperback for a little bit, but even that's expensive. It's not as profitable, so I got to figure out a way to make the trade paperback profitable. I think I have a workaround.
Okay, so what's this? Flip comic pencils. Pencils on what's okay. I see. What you.
So I have like kind of examples of it here where you can get like the pencils on the one side, and then it'll be a flip cover. You flip it over, and you get the whole story in ink.
Okay, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, just a different way to, you know, there's the Virgin covers of the same kind of setup. And then, you know, you get, this was another flip cover idea where you get this and then you flip it over and then there's no word balloons throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm doing a flip book too because I got 2 stories and I couldn't decide who was the main character. So you decide who's the main character. Whichever way you bag and board it is the main.
So
Joe
it's not
Frazier had a good comment. He says, "Sup guys, I love print, but digital is great for the seller and the reader." Yeah, especially somebody who's like, this looks interesting, but I don't want to commit yet.
Yeah.
You know, you know, $6 is what I'm charging for you know, a single issue print, $10 for 2. Yeah. But for $6, we would just talk about coffee. That, you know, that's you and your wife getting a cup of coffee, you know, in any place. Hey, the Don's here. How you doing, Don?
What's going on, Don?
Love the art. People are digging your art, man.
I appreciate it.
Don says the art on this book looks cool.
Thank you.
You know, so there you go. So let's go down. $30 gets an exclusive 248-page AR7. Oh, Alpha Red. I'm thinking
Alpha Red 7. Yeah,
Alpha Red 7 flip comic, regular exclusive one side. Cool. And a free signature. You know, I don't offer signatures because I just think nobody wants my you know,
I always thought people wanted my signature, so I used to sign them all, and then the last campaign, somebody said, "Hey, I didn't want a signature," so I had to send them another one unsigned.
You know, what's funny is I don't like signed books.
See, yeah,
I forget who it was, but somebody like, you know, was on my channel and they're like, "Oh, that was a fun talk. I'm going to send you a book." I gave him my address, and he goes, "Oh, where do you want me to sign it?" And I was like, "Don't sign it." He just made a face. I'm like, I just don't like signed books.
Yeah,
you know, I've never been an autograph hound. I don't, you know. like having your book to me is like, oh, cool. I got James's book. This is really cool. Like if I do get an autograph, I'll buy another one to be the autographed one.
Well, I was watching Rob Liefeld's podcast, and he said that when he was growing up, nobody signed the cover because you were defacing the comic. You would get signatures on the first page.
Right. That's that. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I forget every once in a while. I'll look at it. I'm like, wow, George Perez signed my Wonder Woman #1. I forgot.
Wow.
You know. So the old timers, like you said, you'd open up the book, and on that bottom white space underneath the indicia, that's where they would sign it. Now they sign it on the cover.
Yeah.
Because the speculators all slab them, and they want everybody to see the signature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like to me, that's the difference between like collectors and speculators. If anybody signs my book, sign it on the inside on a little, you know what I mean? But,
no, because he was talking about Jim Shooter, and we said we might talk about Jim Shooter today.
Yeah.
But he opened up he went through Jim. He did a whole podcast on Jim Shooter, and he
Don has a show on Saturday nights. It's picking up steam.
Yeah.
You know, he had Dan Panosian on it, and they all draw. So he getting cut. Don draws stuff.
Awesome.
And Marcus put his Twitter and contact him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Brian Christow is a great writer. He did Six Gun Gorilla. You know, he's checking out your art. Would you work with somebody?
So I don't have time, between my full-time job, and then I have all these stories now for Alpha Red. And then I have this writer really helping me, and he's pitching story ideas outside of what I already have. So I want to get to all these stories, so it'd be really hard for me to peel away from what I want to do.
Yeah, because people digging your art. People are really digging your art.
So
when my books are about to ship, I'm gonna make an announcement. I'll make an announcement on, and I did it last time too. If anybody wants a signature, email. I'm not going to charge. Who the hell am I?
Yeah.
I'm not going to charge. But if you want to see, but I'm not going to sign them unless you specifically ask.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I learned that.
Punch Man, Tolkien. Oh man, Tolkien fan. You won me over with that. One Punch Man, Tolkien fan. One Punch Man. I saying hello. Hail chats. Hello everybody. I'm a big Tolkien fan. You just won me over. That's all it takes.
Nice.
That's all it takes. A lot of signed books end up in the dollar bin. I got a book signed on the first page by Mike Grell. Yeah, I bought a book, and who signed it? I think it was signed by Alan Davis, and I found it in like a dollar bin.
Wow.
Oh, I already got that. I would like Mark. I don't have Mike Grell, but like I said, I don't chase. If I go to a comic convention, and I happen to buy a comic, and the guy's there, but I'm also not going to pay $20 for somebody's signature either.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't blame a lot of these guys charging because they know you're going to throw it on eBay.
Yep.
So this is at Don Draws Stuff.
At Don Draws Stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Contact him and maybe he'll. He invited you, so.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Don. For sure, I'm going to get a hold of you. That's what I do on my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel called Alpha Red Comic, and I draw every Sunday.
Oh, cool. Yeah, put it on Twitter. Let people know.
Yeah.
So this is all your homage covers. Look at this. Yeah. And you drew all of these?
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, my homage style is just like really tracing over the original with my characters. So it's not. I don't consider it really drawing, but I mean, it is.
What did Wally Wood say? Don't draw what you can trace. Don't trace what you can copy and paste or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm sure if he lived till today, he would say, "Don't draw what you could drop in with 3D assets."
Yeah.
Because to him it was all about getting that book out on time with hitting the deadlines.
I know some people try to make an homage cover and it just falls flat because it doesn't look quite like it. So I like my homage covers to really remind me of the original. So
I was told, do you know Jason Sandberg?
Doesn't sound familiar.
He has a comic called Jupiter, and he and I and Narwhal, once infrequently, we do like a rare comics talk chat thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I got interested in his comic called Jupiter, which I really like. And I was able to get 1 to 9 except issue 7, because issue 7 was like $200.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is issue 7 $200, but all the other ones are very affordable? He goes, because it's got that Action Comics #1.
Yeah.
His superhero. He goes, there's a subset of people that just collect variants
absolutely
of that.
Yep.
So
and the Spider-Man crouching over the issue #1 there, the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man #1 pose. There's like a whole page of on Facebook, and they collect everything. If you have it, they want it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So
for Patriarch #1, I'm gonna have him run.
You're like guaranteed at least 20 sales.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Got to do it. You know, because I'm not a big fan of homage covers. To me, like an homage cover says like this comic isn't worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I wasn't gonna do it, but my local comic shop guy, that was one of his suggestions. He's like, if you want somebody to pick it up, to just thumb through it, you got to have an homage cover. And he suggested Amazing Spider-Man 300. And so I did that. I did Spider-Man #1 because I always wanted to. And then I did 316. You know.
Do you have all 7 issues as a tier?
Yeah. Yep. I forget. So that's all the homage covers for 70. And you get a regular cover of issue #7. But there's also, I think for 35 or 40, you can get.
Oh, here you go. This is all the regular covers.
Yeah, that's the regular covers.
So I was looking right at it, but I confused myself. So for $40, you could get all 7 issues, plus and then for $70, you could get all 7 issues, but the homage covers.
Yeah. So the exclusive cover is only available during the campaign. So
which one is the exclusive?
That's the one that you keep showing.
With Seeker on it?
The Searcher.
Searcher.
Yeah. And so the regular cover with her on it is the one right next to it, where she's still front and center, but it's not this pose. It's similar, but it's different.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's an actual
original
11 by 17
cover art. There you go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And this sold out already. Cool. And this is on Fund My Comic.
Yep.
Let me I'll put the link in here again for everybody. So check it out. I forget if I didn't put the link in. Oh, there you go. Marcus already beat me to it. Yeah. I'm not big on variants, but there's a demand for them, so I pretty much do campaign exclusive. Yeah, like I said, I got to sell books. So when Patriarch #1 goes, we will have an homage Action Comics #1 cover, and it will be in the Patriarch's original costume. You know,
there you go.
Superhero for 20 years, he has a different costume at the slightly different.
Yeah.
So we'll make it look more like Superman.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for 10 years. Are you self-taught? Did you go to school?
Yeah, self-taught. I was always good at drawing. High school classes, that kind of stuff. And then when I graduated high school, I tried to get into graphic design, and that was when graphic design was like brand new. You know, computers and all that stuff was just coming in. I'm old, so I took some drawing classes, and that was the only drawing. Those were the only drawing classes that I ever took. But I always wanted to draw comic books, so there's nothing that teaches you how to draw comics better than drawing comics. So I started drawing comics.
Yeah, I'm so bad at myself because I think it was Rob Liefeld that said every kid is an artist until the world discourages them.
Yeah,
every kid draws.
My wife remembers drawing when she was growing up. Now she hates it. She doesn't have the talent for it. She doesn't.
I keep I have a box in the back room of all, like, I made comic books when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Hand drawn comic books.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is we charged the other kids to read them.
Yeah.
And it was just stupid bad. But I keep saying that one day I'm going to make a video of my old comics.
Yeah.
And I'm just too embarrassed to. But one day I just decided I wasn't, like, nobody told me. I just said that it was a waste of time. I'm not good enough, and I stopped, and I never drew again.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to say this. John Saw, you emailed me, and I don't know what happened. I saw the email, and then it was gone. So you emailed me, and I never got to read what you emailed me. So if you want to say it in the chat, if it's something you could say in public, if you want to say I'm a jerk, that's fine. But or if you want to resend the email, yeah, you emailed me. I saw it coming. I went to get it, and I must have deleted it or did something, or put the phone in my pocket and accidentally deleted it. I don't know what I did.
Yeah,
I'm not a boomer, but I play one on TV.
You can get it at shopalphared.com. We'll take you to the Fund My Comic campaign, and you can pick up all 7 that way. And thank you, Stephen, for getting the recommendation out there. I appreciate that.
And what else? So it's one long continuous story. The first
it will be. I mean, it's ongoing. I have the story kind of plotted out loosely for 60 issues of it.
John's a jerk. Wait, yeah, every no surprise. Actually, being called a jerk is one of the nicer things I've been called the past couple of weeks. Yeah. So, I've been called meaner by people that love me. So you got to try harder than that to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Is this? Do you have it? You said this is your forever comic. Do you have like it's a regular?
I mean, I would pause for a chance to draw like Batman or Spider-Man or something like one of those bucket list things. X-Men.
It's funny that you said that. Like, let's just say DC comes knocking on the door.
Oh yeah.
You would drop everything and draw Batman.
Batman, yeah, just Batman. Maybe
not
Superman.
Metamorpho.
No,
nothing. Not
nothing
Booster Gold.
No. Maybe Booster Gold. He has more fans out there. He has very passionate fans. So,
like Spider-Man or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. Spider-Man. I think that's my short list. Spider-Man, Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and right now Transformers and G.I. Joe. Just Skybound, the Energon universe. Transformers and G.I. Joe. But
it's funny because all my life I wanted to write the Fantastic Four. 2 comics I wanted to, Fantastic Four and Captain Marvel, Shazam.
Yeah.
And I don't want to anymore. I'm having fun doing my own stuff.
Yeah. You do catch the bug.
I would do Captain Marvel, Shazam. I still have a burden. I want to fix that character. I don't think he got the treatment in DC that he deserved. Yeah. Short time during the Jerry Ordway Power of Shazam series, I think it was 63 issues. Yeah. That was excellent. But with 63 issues, was that 4 years, 5 years? With the exception of that, I don't think he got what he deserved. John Saw. I was making sure I ordered the Patriarch too. Didn't see where I had. You ordered on Kickstarter, John. I remember that. So I put out a note on Kickstarter that Patriarch Heroic Tales 2 will be coming to Kickstarter, but when Fund My Comic closes down. I respect Luke Stone, the owner, manager, all-around good guy, and also Heroic Tales artist of the Sleeper Agent. I respect him too much to compete with him. So when Fund My Comic closes down, I'm going to do a short campaign on Kickstarter because I did well enough on Kickstarter. And Luke says, I understand, John, you got to sell comics.
Yeah, I did a little, I think I did 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks on Kickstarter. And then that ended on Monday. Like everything was supposed to end on Monday, but my colorist was delayed. So, and I knew I was coming on your show. So I asked Luke to hold this one open.
Okay. Smart move, because I forgot to back last time you were on, and I'm going to back tonight now that I can get all 7 issues.
That'd be awesome. Awesome.
But so John, so if you want to wait for Kickstarter, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, Luke understands it's a business, and but that's going to be a short one. But when that one's done, when my Kickstarter's done, it's done.
Yeah.
There's going to be no in demand or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe I should keep it in demand, but Fund My Comic is going to be the main for all my campaigns.
No, it's been really good.
Using Indiegogo. I did not enjoy Indiegogo.
I didn't either.
Not Shamrock.
Not Shamrock. I don't even know who Shamrock is.
Shamrock is the token Irish hero. I think she debuted in the Contest of Champions, which was I think Marvel's first miniseries.
Yeah.
Heroic Tales. So I keep talking about my comic. I'm sorry.
No worries. It's your show.
Yeah, well, this for an hour, it's your show. The promoter, the asylum is live. We dare you, anyone. Oh, I don't want to say dirty words, but there you go. You could read that. All right. So you said it's like a faith-based comic.
Yeah. It's loosely faith based. I mean, it's just it doesn't hit you over the head. There's a verse or two in there in each comic. His initial story arc, he starts off as a non-believer, and then when he becomes a believer, it unlocks powers that he didn't have before. So that's the sell on that. But then he just, like, as a young believer, like, you don't know the whole Bible, you don't know what you're
Right.
supposed to be doing, so you're gonna make mistakes, and then like different verses will pop up to kind of
Not only that, like I I went to Catholic school my whole life and
Me
everything.
too.
A lot of people quoted Bible quotes to me, and you don't want to be like that actually, but like that's not in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that people think are in the Bible that aren't in the Bible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Follow your heart. Jesus said to follow your heart. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He said the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like my character, the patriarch, he's Greek Orthodox, and
Okay.
that plays a part with that character. Mary Sue's Roman Catholic, that plays a part with that. And later on, I have a Jewish character whose father is Orthodox Jewish, but he's not.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a part of the story. And then I have an atheist character. So I want to explore. I have a Muslim character coming up, but it's not. I don't want it to sound like I'm doing diversity. I just think it's kind of fun to write all of these characters with different faiths, and I'm going to try to be respectful to like all the faiths. And
yeah.
I don't think
I was
I have
thinking
one yet. Yeah,
I was thinking the other day, if I were to have a team up, I'd love to do an Alpha Red Daredevil team up.
Oh,
that's
a lot of red.
One.
Yeah. Is Daredevil your favorite Marvel?
No, I just love Daredevil, Man Without Fear, the John Romita Jr., Frank Miller. That was so good. Like it had such an impact on me. Yeah. And then, I mean, Joe Quesada started drawing it, and it was like Daredevil was the guy for me for a while.
Yeah, Daredevil, out of all of the Marvel comics up until 2015 when I quit Marvel, it always, even when it was low, it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man had some really bad times. The X-Men had some, but Daredevil, it's funny. The original run written by Stan Lee had some of the worst Daredevil comics, but Daredevil. Frank Miller said it that it's the closest Marvel came to like a noir comic, and he's right. I think once you get into like a Daredevil mindset, you get this like. It was a dark and stormy night. She walked in, legs up to here. You know what I mean? And you start thinking like that.
Yeah,
but superhero.
That's definitely Frank Miller. I mean, Frank Miller brought that to the character, I think.
But even before, like Gene Colan's art made it gloomy and atmospheric, and
I guess maybe because that's all I know is it started with Frank Miller for me, and then Joe Quesada, and then
it's funny that you said that because the first Daredevil comic I bought. I know I'm going to get the issue number wrong, but it was Frank Miller's first drawing. It had the Deathstalker on the cover, and he's coming through the tombstone.
Yeah.
I think it was 153.
Yeah. And
that was my first. I just saw that as a little kid. I'll never forget. I walked into Howie's candy store, and this guy had like a curved nook.
Yeah.
And it was just all comics, and he never returned the comics. So it was just piles and piles. And you just look through. So it could have been 6 months later. You know what I mean? It was just in this. And I was like, this is the comic. Every day I got one comic. I remember it was like 35 cents. And then I would have like 65 cents left over from the $1 to buy lunch with.
Yeah.
So it's just like a comic book. Bagel pizza and a chocolate milk was exactly $1.
That's great.
I don't want to ask you your age, but I'm 57. You're around my age?
I'm 50.
Okay, so you're a youngin. How old? What price were comics when you started?
I think it was 75 cents to $1, something.
75 cents. Yeah, I started comics when they were 25 cents.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then they quickly went to 30 cents, and then they quickly went to 35 cents. It just seemed like, and I remember telling myself, I'm quitting when they're 50 cents. That's just too much money.
No, I found them when I was 12 or 13, something like that, right before the image boom. So I came on with Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, and then I found Jim Lee with the X-Men, and then while you're spinning the spinner rack, you run into the X-Force, New Mutants, X-Force, and then X Factor, all that stuff. So I was hooked on Marvel.
So when you started collecting comics, it was already direct market then, right?
Well, I picked it up at the CVS. People's
right.
Drug.
It was both for a while. You know,
Yeah.
there was a good 10-year period where you could go to a new stand.
But once I found the direct market, I was like, oh yeah, this is where I'm going. So
yeah, I remember the Incredible Pulp. It was a big sign, and I was like, a store that just sells comic books,
right? Capital City Comics was the store I found.
Where's
that? Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania. So it was called Capital City Comics, and the guy was like a cranky old cuss. So I was like, I remember going in there to buy X-Men #1, and I didn't have enough money. I mean, I knew that 5 covers were coming out, and I wanted all 5. I brought it to the front, and he was like, "You can only have one." I was like, "What do you mean I can only have one?" He was just a nasty old guy. So yeah, I found another place, and off I went.
Yeah, it was such a stereotype, but it was true that there was a cranky old guy behind the comic book store. But my comic book store, Incredible Pulp, was this guy Larry, and while I was like 13, 14, I think he was like 19, 20. Okay. You know, so he wasn't, and he was like very enthusiastic and very knowledgeable. You know what I mean? So it was a fun place to go to because it was almost like hanging out with one of us.
Yeah.
You know, but there was other comic book stores that guys were like, oh, get out of here. There ain't a library, you know? Yeah.
Like, you can't read that. I'm like, I'm just flipping through it because I'm not a big reader. I like looking at the pictures. You know, I'm a visual guy. So I just want to look through.
I do what I call the A to Z. I'll like, if I go to any comic book store or a used record store, I start at A and I just, you know, like I'm there for hours. Like I'll tell, like my wife's like, oh, I'll be in the comic book store. She's like, okay, that means I can do whatever I want, you know, because I'll be there for hours. By the time I get to Z, she's standing there waiting for me. You know what I mean? Like hours go by, and I looked at every cover. I have a stack like this. Yeah. And this guy Larry never bothered me. You know. Yeah. You know. But there's another comic book store. If you were in there for like more than 5 minutes, you were like, you know, it was like shell shock. Get out of here. You know.
Yep.
So I never understood that. I agree with this. Food is here and gone. Comics are forever.
That's right.
I justified too many expensive comic book purchases. Well, you know, I'll be hurting for a month, but I'll have this comic forever.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Do you still have a big collection at your house?
So I stopped collecting for probably 15 years when we started having kids, and you know, my wife stayed home with the kids, and so there wasn't a lot of money. But like right now, I'm probably spending $50-$60 a month. So I'm back in it. I'm
50-60 bucks a month.
It doesn't get you a lot. It gets me, I don't know. It gets me Transformers, G.I. Joe. I picked up the new Battle Beast from Robert Kirkman. I'll pick up some of the Ghost Machine stuff with Jeff Johns. So
yeah, I get all of that too. I challenge myself every month to get less and less new comics. And at one point, the month that I decided to quit Marvel and DC, I was getting $400 a month on comics.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was like, and I remember like, I don't even like these. It was just momentum, you know.
I just stopped Amazing Spider-Man, and I was collecting it out of habit. Right. And I was just like, I'm not even reading them. You know, I'll flip through them, and then I just stop flipping through them. I'm like, what am I even doing? So I cut that off, and I could pick up two other comics because they were every other week. It was twice a month. I was like, I can get two.
One of my buddies gets Amazing Spider-Man and Batman religiously since he was a little kid, and he's older than me. Yeah. But he says he hasn't opened them up and read them in like 15 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you even know like the heart? Like he has no clue like the identity politics. Like he just, I said, you're the reason why comics are so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you get that you look forward to and you enjoy?
Well, the most I look forward to is actually Absolute Batman and Transformers are my top two.
Everybody's raving about Transformers.
Yeah.
Everybody's raving about Transformers. I was too old for Transformers.
You I think you just missed it.
Yeah, I missed Ninja Turtles, Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe. So like everybody's like jaw drops. You get comics, and I literally read my first GI Joe comic like a month or two ago, and
Wow.
it was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. The Skybound stuff, the Energon universe.
No, the
is so
actual
good.
Marvel #1. I have to start at the beginning.
Oh.
So I saw it in a used book. There's a place by me called it's a crazy place, but you walk in there, they got like Amazing Fantasy 15s.
Okay.
Behind glass, like they got Fantastic Fours. Like it is bad. You go in there and it's like that devil just pops on your shoulder. Get it. They got everything. So they had literally a stack of GI Joe #1s.
I agree with what geeks do. That was such a good decade.
Yeah, I never watched anything. Like I never watched X-Men '97 because by the time 1997 came out, I was kind of tired of the X-Men.
Yeah.
So I got a copy of GI Joe #1. I think for a good price. So it's gonna drive me nuts that I can't remember the name of that comic.
Yeah. Well, John, I got my my live stream to close out my thing starting at 8.
So I'll put up your one more time and close this out. What do you want to say? What do you want to tell people?
So please support Alpha Red #7. Go over to shopalphared.com, and you get it 2 months before everybody else gets it. So it won't hit the publisher's website until September 1st. So you can get it in your hands by the end of this month, and you could get the digital copy by next week probably.
Cool.
And then whenever the printer comes up with the printed stuff, I'll send it right out. It should hit before the end of the month. So
cool. There you go. So there we go. He's got to go and be on his own stream. So we're gonna close this out. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow because it's the 4th of July. My neighborhood throws a really cool block party. Will be my once a year drinking. So Saturday I'll be recovering because I'm a lightweight, and then Sunday I'm going to do X-Men '94. I'm going to go back to the X-Men for Sunday comics, and then it's back to a normal schedule. So I'll see you guys. And I'm going to back Alpha Red the 1 to 7 pack as soon as we stop the stream. Nobody needs to see my credit card information.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks, John.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Yeah, happy 4th of July.
Bye-bye.
See ya.